Wing and Tail Boys podcast, your Northeast hunting and fishing destination. I'm Chris.
And I'm Angelo.
And we're your hosts. Join us as we navigate the woods and waters of the Northeast, sharing our passion for the outdoors.
From big game and upland bird hunting to turkey, waterfowl, and sport fishing, we'll cover it all. With 40 plus years of experience in the Northeast, we'll provide insights, tips, and stories to help you make the most of your adventures and, most importantly, experience the wild.
So, tune in, grab your gear, and let's hit the woods together. And remember, success is just a commitment away. What's going on, guys? Thanks for joining us here today for another podcast. I'm joined with my cousin Angelo, and we're going to be giving you a little bit of an update today. We did have a guest that was going to join us today, but there were some technical difficulties. So we're just going to kind of put together a little bit of an update video or audio podcast, whatever it is. So with that being said, Ange, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. It'll be refreshing to kind of talk about some of the things that we've been doing. Like you said, we've had a couple guests recently in a row, and we thank them for their insights and their perspectives and their information that they were able to provide. We really are interested in hearing the perspectives and the interests and the information from our viewers too. So if you have the opportunity, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please leave us a review. We hope that you would leave us a 5-star review and leave us any questions, concerns, comments, anything that you have there, and we'll try to incorporate them into the show.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've said this before. We want to stay relevant to you. If you're taking the time to listen to us, whether it's on your way to work, on your way home from work, hanging out, doing yard work, whatever the case is, we want the information that we're sharing with you to be relevant for you. So if there's anything specific that you want to hear about, whether it be something new or something that you want more information on or more details on, just leave that in a review down below, and we'll be able to start tailoring some of those episodes towards some of the stuff you're looking for. With that being said, Ange, I mean, we're 3 weeks into the season, give or take. I think it's like 3.5, or we've had 3 weekends of hunting, I think we could say, right? So 2.5 weeks into the season. We're going to get into the actual hunting stuff a little bit deeper into this podcast, but do you have any updates, like as far as your gear is concerned or different processes that you're going through or anything like that?
No, so I think last time we were on the podcast, we talked about that I had put a doe down early on. We donated that to Hunters Helping the Hungry, a great organization that my club works with, and we, help get some food to people who are in need. As far as gear goes, I practiced with a bunch of the stuff that I planned on using this year, and that's what I've been sticking to. I did put a hang-on stand up in one of my properties, the one that I'm hunting. Again, I've mentioned a couple times. It's a township that's near where I live that's got a high deer population that we're helping them limit. There's like a nice rut funnel that's right along this creek that it runs through the property that I could tell that they're starting to rub on. They're going up and down. They're scent checking some of the bedding areas that are along there. So I have a hang-on stand in one spot that I'm going to try to see if I can. I've hunted it a couple times. I won't go too far into it because we're going to talk about it today. But I've hunted it a couple times. We'll talk about what happened in those stand. But other than my gear, that's really the only thing I've changed. I've been saddle hunting now for this is my 3rd year, and I've mostly saddle hunted since I started. But yeah, nothing's really changed. There's a couple things that I might look to change for next season, but for now, I'm just gonna keep going the way I am for this season. How about you?
All right. Honestly, I'm still upgrading things. I'm still trying to streamline my process. We've talked in the past. I've got an issue with heights, so the whole climbing portion of the setup. It tends to be some days it's better than others, I guess you could say. But this past week, I made a big change to my sticks that I think are going to make a huge difference. Anyone who's familiar with the Muddy sticks, or I forget, like the Muddy climbing sticks, or there's another company that has a 1-stick platform, same as your sticks that have the cam cleat or the cam buckle, like the teeth that cinch on the ropes. I bought 4 of them and put them on my double sticks. Originally, they were XOP sticks, but I don't even know if I can officially call them that anymore. I've taken the single steps off, replaced them with doubles. I've taken the locking system off because I don't need it anymore. I've removed their button and replaced it with the cam cleat. So I guess the only thing that is factory standard on my sticks anymore is the center shaft. But I'm
So you're
really
not using
hoping
the XOPs to climb anymore?
I'm using the XOP sticks, and I'm still using the XOP button to like
So
with
keep
like
it on the
that
back of your saddle,
exactly to keep
top tube.
yeah the transport thing. So the first one I put on, like I mentioned in some of the previous episodes, I have like a triple aider that I made myself. It's basically a rope ladder, and that I'm 5'6". My first step, I literally put as high as I could reach and clamp it to the tree. My first stick between my ladder and the stick, by the time I get to the top, I'm probably 7 feet off the ground. So with one stick, I mean, I'm making a huge difference. Then I have a single aider on my second stick. So by the time I get from the ground to the top of my second stick, I'm probably already at 10-ish feet, give or take. Um, some of the other stuff I've done here is I'm actually back to the saddle, baby. I sold my saddle, I don't know, 2 weeks ago to help me pay for the new stand that I wanted, the XOP Retrograde. Um, and the moment I got it, I immediately regretted getting rid of my saddle harness. That is, I should say. The Retrograde is like the perfect platform. Just for the record, we are not sponsored by XOP. We have no affiliation with them right now. I just tend to like their products. I mean, we're trying to help that weekend warrior, the people who have limited time to hunt, limited funds to hunt. We're trying to help those people find success a little bit easier. And XOP really has a great middle ground of price and efficiency or quality, I guess you could say. No, quality is a bad word. Their stuff is very quality. What I should say is like their sticks aren't the lightest on the market. Their saddle might not be the most comfortable on the market, but it's great stuff. The quality is good. It works really well. And the Retrograde, I am completely excited about because it is small enough to use as a saddle platform, but it's just big enough that I can stand on and turn around. Now, when you and I went to that soybean field, I think we talked about it in like the 3rd episode, um, and we practiced climbing. I was good going to my strong side and going around the tree on my strong side with the saddle. But the moment I had to turn away from the tree, have my back to the tree, and kind of turn in open space, that's kind of where like my body froze. And this new platform, I'm able to stand on completely, put both feet on it, turn, and find that comfort. So I think like this is the perfect combination of saddle, tree stand platform to literally get 360 degrees around a tree, which is the original reason I wanted to go to the saddle in the first place. I wanted the ability to make those shots behind the tree. So I'm really excited about that. Did you have something to comment on about that?
I'm gonna go after you done. I took a couple notes here.
Okay. My last thing, and I actually have it here because we were talking about it before the podcast aired or we started recording. I am working on my camera arm. Now, we're working on, I know we keep saying this in all in all the episodes, but we are planning on posting all of these videos and audios to YouTube. Maybe not all the videos because the quality isn't the greatest right now, but we are going to be putting these on YouTube. So once it gets there, I'm showing you the camera arm that I've somewhat made myself. All right, this is a DIY project, but by DIY, I really mean like I took pieces from old camera arms that I bought and kind of pieced them together to make my own thing. One of the things I didn't like is how unsturdy the connectors were. So I cut out my own spacers out of basically like cutting board material and made them 3 inches. So that way there's a good solid platform like for stability. And I did that on my farthest, but like between my second and third arm and first and second arm on the stick here. Excuse me. And I used that for a couple weeks just like that. And what I started to realize was there was no way to level this thing. If you look here, I mean, this just kind of clamps to the tree and it just goes on the way it is. So you can level it like a clock, like left and right like a clock. But I wasn't able to angle it up and down to get it level. So what would happen is I would get it okay when it was straight out, and then when I wanted to angle my camera around to the side, gravity would take effect and pull it in. So what I actually did today was I installed this piece of aluminum on the back side of the mounting bracket with like a standoff that I have from another old camera arm and a little leveling bolt up here. So long story short, I'm working each week. I'm modifying this camera arm until I get it exactly the way I want it, working exactly how I want it. And I just get personally, I get a great deal of satisfaction in using stuff that I've made. I did the same thing with guitar. I taught myself how to play guitar. I taught myself how to drive a stick shift. It's just when I do it myself, I just get a lot more enjoyment out of it. So what did you have to go on with that, Inch?
Yeah, so one of the things you were talking about is your aider being 7 feet off the ground, and one of the things that I do, I mean, I'm not much taller than you. I'm 5'9". I wouldn't say we have a big difference, but as far as my reach to being able to reach up into the tree, I think that might be a little bit more like 4 or 5, maybe 6 inches. I think my wingspan, if you're 3 inches shorter, I got 3 inches on each side. It's 6 foot wingspan, or a 6 inch greater wingspan than you would have. But so I'm able to kind of get around maybe a little bit bigger of a tree, and for that reason, I can do a couple different things with my setup. And for me, with the aider, what I've actually started to do was I'll put my first step, and I'm not using my aider yet. I've had the in the works that I've wanted to put even just a one step aider,
Do
maybe
you
even
have
on
them?
all my steps. I don't have any aiders on my steps yet. It was something I wanted to do. I ran out of time this year. It's probably going to be one of the things that's on my to-do list for next year. Um, but what I have been doing is normally when I put my sticks on the tree, I'll just put them to where my knees are. And then when I bring my leg up 90 degrees, my foot is basically where my knee is. What I've actually been doing now, though, is I will, on the first step at least, put it a little bit higher, and I always put my second step up from the ground. I put it as high as I can, and it's usually in a good spot. What I'll do is I'll hold onto the top step, which is my second step, and with one foot I'll put it on the tree, and I'll actually hoist myself up to be able to step up a little bit higher onto that first step. It's
You're
not like
wearing your
the
safety
biggest.
harness, I'm assuming, right?
At that point, no, I'm not. But I mean, I'm very close to the ground at that point. So even if I was to fall, what am I falling? 4 feet at the most.
Sure.
So I probably am going to be okay. Um, most of the time when I'm climbing up, it's in the daylight. Obviously, if I'm hunting morning, it's different. But in the morning, maybe I'm getting that. I'm sorry, I touched my mic and that thing again.
We'll fix it in the post editing.
Trying to see if I can get it to
But
stop. There it goes. It stopped now.
what
So
was happening?
it's making like a really crazy noise in my ear that's it's like unbearable to even listen to. But anyway, it stopped. I got to stop touching my microphone. Anyway, so in the dark, maybe I'm less likely to do that. For the most part, for me though, I actually just recently watched a really interesting video that I think we should do a video on ourselves, or at least touch on it in a podcast. Talk about stand height and how high do you really need to be? How effective are the different heights? I would say probably the lowest I really want to be is somewhere around 15 feet. The highest I'll be is 25 feet. I think in that sweet spot, you're good. Any higher than that is too high, and any lower than that, you're running the risk of scent accumulating on the ground and pooling if there's not enough wind, and you also run the risk of being seen. Obviously, we do a lot of our hunting in the mountainous terrain. I wouldn't necessarily call them mountains, but it's mountainous terrain. And if you're hunting on slopes, even if you're 20 feet in the tree, you're going to be eye level to a deer that's only what 30 feet away from you, or 30, yeah, you know what I mean. So like if you're straight up 20 feet leveled with you probably 30 feet away, or you're going to have a deer that's going to be eye level with you, and
Yeah,
that's not
especially if you're
far.
hunting on that
That's what
slope,
I'm saying. If you're on the
Yeah,
slope, anything
yeah,
below you, you're going to be extremely high,
yeah.
but anything above you, what I'm saying is even the deer above you, it's not like they're going to be farther away because of the slope, usually the
Right.
steep slope of the terrain. They're probably only 30, 40 feet away from you when you're 20 feet in the tree. So they're extremely close to you and you're at their eye level. Or if they're coming from above you and they're walking down the mountain, you're in their eyesight. So
Yeah.
anyway, that was one thing that I figured I'd touch on that I'm just doing. It's nothing groundbreaking. I'm just kind of trying to get a little extra height there. And then when you were talking about going around the tree, so one of the things that I had seen, I actually saw a guy. So my saddle platform
Oh,
has,
you're talking about when I'm in the saddle. You're talking
yeah,
about
when you're
like,
in the saddle and you're,
okay, I got
so
you.
I would say I'm talking about when you're setting your platform up. There's this company that I saw, they have a strap. I don't know if it's built in. I'm trying to think now if I would even be able to do it with my setup. I think that I could. I think that my strap that goes around into the ratchet comes out so that I could put anything on that strap. And
Hmm.
what he has is he has two little like plastic things with maybe a little bit of stippling on them so that you could stand on them. And he has them on the strap.
Oh, you're talking about the step ring. You're
Yeah,
talking
it's
about the
just
ring
like,
of steps.
yeah, it's like a ring of steps. But the way that I
Yeah.
looked at it, it looked like he had his platform, and then I don't know if they sell those individually, but if they do, I'm thinking about maybe even just getting two of those just to put on the strap. They'll always be there, and then as I'm tightening down my stand or my platform, I could just kind of maneuver those onto like maybe the 10 and 2 position on the tree so that I can kind of swing around. Just a thought. Those are two things that I was thinking about as far as adding. Uh,
Yeah. Now,
and
real,
then I guess since I'm going down the rabbit hole, I might as well finish.
yeah, go
One of
ahead.
the other things that I've been thinking about too is one sticking. Um, I think I'm gonna upgrade to one sticking for next year. I don't mind the saddle situation that I have now. I'm okay with it. It's just I want to take the weight off me. I'm trying to get. I've been blessed so far this season. I've been hunting pretty close to the parking lots because I'm hunting this property. But I know once we get into the rifle season and once we get into the New Jersey gun season, I can't hunt this property with gun. I'm going to be going a lot further into certain properties that I know where good deer are in the properties that I've hunted so far. And I don't think I want to carry the weight. I want to try to
Well,
drop the weight as much as possible.
the thing is, and we've talked about this already before. You and I have talked about it extensively. It turns out that apparently I have some kind of degenerative disc disease in my back. Um, I don't know how serious it is. Apparently, the doctor said it's normal at my age, which deteriorating discs doesn't sound normal to me, you know. But with that being said, I've really been trying to reduce my weight, and the problem is that since we're trying to record, we have to have the camera arm.
Well,
We
that's
have to
part
have
of
the
it, right?
strap.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's part of it because I have the
Yeah.
added weight of the camera gear now, and
Exactly.
my sticks are not top of the line space age
Exactly.
aluminum or whatever they're using
Yeah.
that, it's
Yeah.
really light and strong. And I'm carrying four sticks in,
Yeah.
and I probably need a fifth to really be where I want to be in the tree, but I'm definitely not using that.
Well,
I'm
here's what I would here's what I would suggest to you. Um, you are very comfortable in a tree. I've seen you climb. I've watched you climb. We've hunted together. You're very comfortable going up, going down, no issues at all. If you're trying to reduce weight and increase how high you could get, I personally would put a triple aider on your bottom stick, and at least a double aider on your next two or
That's
three.
the only thing. I just don't want to get caught up with all these different
They're
ropes and
iffy,
gadgets. No, it's
but
not even that. It's just I don't want to get caught up because I've already, even just with now without the aiders on there, just with all the extra stuff that I'm using to climb and I just feel like there's too many straps in my way already.
but the thing
And
is, are you
and
talking
what
about in transport, or are you talking
No,
about
I'm
when
talking
you're
about like
on the tree?
while I'm on the tree, while I'm trying to assemble everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, in transport, yeah, you got to bundle everything up, and I'm sure it's not a big deal. You tie it up, whatever else. But when I'm trying to climb the tree, once I step up onto that next step that I'm taking, so like if I have multiple sticks, obviously a lot of people who saddle hunt do. Um, Once I step up onto the bottom step of my next stick, I've got sag in my saddle ropes. I've got sag in my connecting gear, and it's not until I pull myself up completely that I'm able to take the slack out. A lot of times I'll find that I'm like stepping on my um the rope that I use to keep myself locked into the tree. Um, I'm I'm finding that a lot of those things are getting in my way. Now, with the one stick, one of the things that they're using is they're using a safety rope that is, well, I don't know, like 40 feet long or 30 feet long, however high you feel like you want to climb. And it might not necessarily be less in my way, but at least I won't be always kind of having to deal with the tag end. You know what I mean? So I feel like I'm always kind of getting my steps. And for me, I'm righty. I don't know that it's a big deal. Like I always make my step up with my right foot. So, I mean, it's really just a matter of wanting to be a little bit more comfortable with my setup, wanting to have a little bit more fine-tuned to me. And again, I might try one sticking and hate it completely, but I think that that's just something that I'm gonna at least look into, at least try, knowing that the style of hunting that I'm doing is, a lot of walking, a lot of, climbing, and by climbing I mean like walking the steep terrain. So I don't want to have to do that with added weight on my pack than I need. And like you said, I'm comfortable in the tree. So, I'm not saying that you can't do it if you're not like athletic or whatever else, but you definitely have to trust the system. You have to be comfortable. If you're one sticking, you're definitely going to be dangling just to even bring the step up from underneath you to where you're going to be putting it.
Right. Right. No, I mean that all makes sense. And one of the things, real quick, I just popped into mind. One of the other things that's great about the retrograde platform that I have is that when you're in a true saddle system, you get up, you lean back. You really don't have that many options, right? You can either be a knee to the tree kind of guy. You could be a lean back kind of guy. You could be a pull your tether real tight and stand up against a tree kind of guy.
I mean, I do
But
all those in one sit,
right.
depending on how long I'm there. I'm in all those positions.
Now, the best part about it is now that I have the saddle with this retrograde, I can pretty much stand with my back to the tree at all times with the tether coming across my chest as if it was an offside shot, be standing normal, sit down when I get tired, and when I need to come around the tree to make a shot, I could do so. Right? Then, if I want to, I could use the seat of the stand as a saddle platform and just go up and down as throughout the day when I get tired, come down when I want to leave. You know what I mean? So I just feel as far as like a comfort scenario, I think this platform is going to be awesome. I mean, you and I talked. Well,
Yeah,
after
no,
the first,
you're intending to do like a little bit of a hybrid of kind of like a
yeah,
hang-on stand and a saddle situation. You know what I mean? Giving you the
absolutely.
opportunity to shoot behind you in a stand where if you were sitting, you wouldn't really have that shot because you have your saddle in. The only thing is, you may or may not get into a situation where you have your gear maybe in your way if, or maybe
Yeah,
maybe there's something to be said about a system that maybe we can design and we can kind of make it something that we do where I'll tell you what, if I'm saddle hunting, I wouldn't be opposed to maybe putting a little bit extra big of a platform, maybe doing something similar. Maybe we can come up with some sort of harness system to where it's reversible, right? So it's like you're
yeah.
sitting down in your stand and you have a clip on your back and you could clip in on the back
That's what I have.
and then you turn around if you want to, you just take the clip off and clip it into the front.
That's what I
So
have.
I know the muddy system that I have right now. The only thing is when you're clipped into the back, it's got an extra long rope that goes up even higher. And then
Yeah,
when you want to clip in the front, that doesn't have that rope. So
yeah.
maybe something we could design a harness that doesn't have that extra length behind it. And then you can just, you have to obviously, you have to be able to, I don't know, you might need a little bit, maybe not as much, but you need a little bit because people might have trouble clipping themselves in behind them. People might not be able to reach the center of their back. I mean, I'm able to kind of get close, but I definitely can't get like to the middle of my shoulder blade. So there might need to be like at least like a 1 foot strap to be able to
Yeah.
clip in.
Now, actually, I will say the saddle that I'm using is the XOP Mondo. Again, with the XOP. Excuse me, guys. I was sick a few weeks ago, and I don't think it's gone away completely. And I got this cough coming back again. It's absolutely killing me. But the XOP Mondo harness, like the saddle harness that I'm using, is basically exactly what you're saying. It is a saddle harness. It has a little like 4 inch tab on your back, but it doesn't have that that 2, 3 foot long strap that comes off the back. Now, what I will say is, I looked up hybrid saddle harnesses, and XOP and one other company, the only company that make them, but there's not a single hybrid saddle that is feature rich, like some of the other higher end saddles. Me personally, with my fear of heights, it's just what I don't like about the saddle. And I know you saddle hunters that are listening, you're gonna laugh at me, and it's okay. I don't care. It is what it is, But my thing is like, what happens if I fall out of the tree? And when I fall out of the tree, I fall head down. Is it possible for me to slip out of a saddle without the shoulder straps? I don't know.
I mean, I think with the leg straps, you're in there pretty good.
You know,
I think you'll be fine. I mean, technically anything's possible, I guess you could say. I think you'll be
but
fine though.
well, that's why I said it's an irrational
No,
fear,
I
and I
know
know that
a
in my
lot of
head.
people have irrational fears. It's not only you.
On the ground, on the ground, I'm good. And when I first got the saddle, I was like, yeah, this is cake, no problem. I'll climb up the tree, I'll do
I'll
whatever.
tell
I
you what
practice on
though.
the ground
I
a
mean,
bunch.
you're
And
talking about a feature-rich saddle, right? So there's going to be people who need that. Like you said, you're someone who wants to have those extra features, and if you have more than one stick, you're going to need those features. You got the little clips for the, you're able to put on the XOP little clips that you could put the extra sticks on. But there might be people who are okay with a featureless saddle because let's say I do switch over to one sticking. I no longer need all that stuff. You know what I mean? I might
right, yep.
just need I might need a pouch or, something like that,
Well,
but
I'm not
I
even
don't need
talking about
anything
that.
crazy.
I'm talking about like the double panels, the bigger or more
No, but
spread
that's what I'm
out, like
saying.
the
Maybe
waist
that's an
loops.
avenue we
You
can go
know,
down and we can design something and maybe we can get
for
something set up and
For sure. Now, what I probably will do is right now, what I've done is I have like the tethered dump pouches. I have two of those, and then I have two almost like they're belt pouches. They have zippers on them, and I kind of use that stuff to take some of the weight off my back. But I also put the necessities that I need set up in the tree before I pull my backpack up. So my process, well, real quick, let me backtrack real quick because we're getting away from the sticks. I ran downstairs to grab my sticks so I can show you what I'm working with here. And the way I have my ladder set up is I have two elastic bands
no, I'm
that
not worried
attach.
about how and just to
I know, I know.
it was
Now,
about when I'm stepping up onto the
right,
sticks. I feel like I'm stepping on my saddle gear, not the aider stuff. I feel like I
gotcha.
have like I strap myself onto the tree. I put my safety harness above me, right? And then I have a little bit of slack left because you need to have a little bit of extra because what if the tree's
Yeah,
bigger? Sometimes I'm climbing a little bit of a smaller tree. Now I have this tag end that's dangling down. The thing is, once I step up onto the next step, all that becomes slack. Now
yeah,
I've got it, but a lot of times I feel like it's in my way. Um, and I don't know, maybe a one step aider would help me because now that tag end might not reach where I'm stepping. I don't know. I have to figure something out. It's just it's I feel like with the one my point in saying that was with the one stick you have like a 30-foot rope going all the way down and instead of stepping on the tag end you're kind of dealing with the middle of the rope the whole time. You know what I mean?
right.
So
I gotcha.
it's
What
not
about
kind of getting tangled in on you.
does your saddle have molly loops on it? Like, does it have loops for you to like hook things into it?
The saddle has Molly loops. Yeah, it has.
Okay.
I don't know if it's Molly, but it has loops.
Could you could
Molly's the it's the checkered pattern, right?
Well, kind of, yeah.
I don't even know.
It's like anyway. It doesn't matter. The point I'm making is, if you have those loops, why not take the tag end of your lineman belt and just run it through one of the loops on the back? It's not going to stop it from giving you slack or
It doesn't
taking
reach
slack,
that
but it's
far.
going to
No,
keep it
so
away.
my tag end is I only got like a 6 foot rope
Okay,
that keeps me on the tree.
right.
I don't
I
have
don't even know how long mine
so I'm saying there's
is.
a lot of people who saddle hunt who have multiple sticks that also use like a 30-foot rope,
Yeah.
and
Well,
they have it like either in their pouch or they have it all the way to the ground. There's people who have the safety rope that they're on longer. Mine's
yeah.
just to get around the tree and to
You're
get into
talking about
my
the life. You're talking
the
about the
lifeline. Yeah,
lifeline.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I have, sometimes it's a 6 foot, I think it's a 6 foot rope, an 8 foot rope. I put it around the tree. I put my safety part through the loop. Now it's around the tree completely. I clip in and then that tag end dangles.
Right.
A lot of times it's 3 feet it dangles. So, to think about from where I clip in at my chest or my belly button, wherever, and it dangles 3 feet, it's just always right at my feet.
Right.
So
I got
I
you.
don't know if
All right.
maybe I need to maybe get like a little loop or a little, something like a little some sort of knot at the top that I can move up and down my harness that I can just loop it back up and put it into to kind of hold it
So
in place out of my feet.
I'll tell you when we were working on climbing that one day when we were in the woods, you had mentioned to me that my tag like the tag end of my stick rope, I needed to do something with that, and I took an extra 10 seconds per stick, and started like kind of figure eighting or wrapping up the rope and putting it back down through the standoffs. So ever since then, I've been paying attention to it. I've been putting those out of my way, and they've been doing a great job. Um, what I'm going to be doing, I think, is I have two different tactical belts. And they're when I say tactical, I mean they're just like a regular belt that like pulls through like the cinching lock instead of like a post through the hole type of belt. Right now in a regular stand, when I stand up and my back is to the tree, I'm able to put my pouches like on the front, like on my 1 o'clock and 11 o'clock, right on my hips. When I'm in the saddle, the few times I used it and tried it out, what I found is that all of these pouches I have get in the way.
I don't even have
When you
pouches.
when you're trying to turn, they really get in the way. But
That's what I'm saying. There's such a difference in between how people do saddle hunting and this and that. That's why
yep.
I think saddle hunting videos do so well on the internet is because a lot of people have a lot of the same problems that we're having.
And the truth is, these problems I'm having aren't just specific to the saddle. The issues I'm having are really getting set up in a timely manner. That is really my biggest issue right now. Because the backpack I have isn't the greatest. I'm working on a budget. It fits everything, but everything isn't streamlined. It has two big pockets, like a main compartment up top, and then a small compartment down low. I could roll that top compartment up to make it just like a waist or like a hip bag. Um, but my biggest problem was having a place to put everything and then being able to take it out in order. So what I've really used those dump pouches for are my left side. Everything on the left side is for climbing. So I have my lineman's belt, my tether, my extra lineman's belt. Like if I have to go around a branch or something, I have an extra rope for that. I have the two buckles for my tree stand, and I feel like there's something else in there that I'm missing.
My saddle, everything's already attached to it. My
So
lineman's belt is already on it. It's always
mm,
on it and never comes off.
I take it off so it's not in the way when I'm hunting. I don't need a lineman's belt once I have a tether
Oh, no, no, no,
attached.
I'm sorry. I don't even use the lineman's belt to climb.
What do you use?
I have so exactly like I was saying, I have my safety line above me. I use
That
my safety line.
explains it.
I use my
Okay,
safety line. I reach up as high as I can go, and then when
I
I
got you.
step up, it's slack. You know
I
what I'm
now I'm
saying?
with you. Yep,
So
yep.
now it's dangling in front of me. I never have the lineman's rope on me. I only ever use the safety line, and it's because I'm so comfortable in the tree. I don't want to feel like I'm stuck to it. I want to be able to move. I want to be able to lean off to the side, to hold on to a branch, to cut this, to cut that limb,
Right.
to do
Yeah,
whatever I got to
yeah.
do as I'm climbing. Because as we know, not every single tree is just perfectly straight with no limbs on it. A lot of
We
times
don't
you have to break
condone
a limb.
cutting
No, no,
branches
I'm
on
not. I don't.
public
I'm not
land.
cutting. I'm not cutting. Listen, I'm not cutting a branch off, but I'll trim limbs. Like I'll trim
Yeah,
limbs
yeah.
on stuff around me, just stuff
Like a
that I
little
can
branch.
crack
Yeah,
with my hand, like
I got you.
nothing
Yeah.
crazy.
I'm
If
just
there's a
being silly.
branch on the tree, I usually will set up my stick wherever I go. Once I'm standing on my stick, I'll disconnect my safety line and then reconnect it on top of the branch with no lineman's belt on. I know my practices are not probably OSHA approved, if that's a thing. We should look into
Definitely
a hunter
don't contact
safety,
OSHA.
yeah, hunter safety organization that they're gonna write me a fine for being unsafe.
Listen. We're registered LLCs here, man. We don't need OSHA coming around
Oh
here.
yeah, but anyway,
Outta
but like,
here.
so that's part of my, and we're gonna have to do. I know, I have plans to do a saddle video coming up on YouTube and getting people a little bit more familiar with my process and people being able to see how I do it, and then I'm sure I'll get destroyed in the comments saying like that is the most unsafe way to climb a tree
Yeah,
ever.
probably. I
But
will. Oh, sorry. Yep.
I get up there and I get down
And
and
you're still here.
I'm still here, and I've got deer on the wall to say it's effective. So
Guys, when it comes to this kind of stuff, do as he says,
not as I
not
do.
as
I
he
mean, you might
does.
need to do as I do. You might be in my situation. You might be
But that's why I have
slim
a second
enough
rope.
to have your
That's why I have a
strength to
second
weight
rope.
ratio in a position where you can pull your weight around and you can hold your weight up long enough to be able to do some of these maneuvers. You might be athletic enough, and you might have enough less. Let me see. You might have no fear of heights to where you can pull off some of the maneuvers I'm pulling off. And again, I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm not hanging upside down. But, there's times where I'm 15 feet up in the tree on my third stick, maybe, and I'm not strapped in. I'm moving the safety line from underneath a branch to on top of a branch. And I'm not at that point. If I fall, I'm probably getting hurt.
So I will say this though. I used to climb the way you're climbing. I used to use just a safety line, put it above my head, climb, get the tag end stuck in everything I was using. And this is when I was using a climber. The old Amicas that we grew up using. So I would be
I
climbing.
never climbed with my climber with my safety line.
I'd go to
I
move my
climbed with the climber, and when I got up to the
right.
top, I put my safety line.
Yeah, I did too until the climber the bottom fell off on me.
I've had
Once
falls all the time too.
once that bottom fell out, I was like, yeah, fuck this. I'm climbing with a strap. But anyway, I used to do it that way. And yes, you will have a problem with that tag end. But if you switch to a lineman's belt, you could keep it loose. So it's not it's on the tree, but it's not restricting your movement.
Well, I've had one.
It's actually easier for you
not to use it.
Right. But what I'm saying is, next time, try the lineman's belt instead of the safety rope. It's a lot faster.
I'm telling you,
It's less restrictive.
I don't like it.
That's crazy.
For me, the way I climb, I'm climbing too fast for it. I don't like.
You know what you need? I'll tell you what you need. You need you need what I have. It's called a tender. It's like a rope tender. You have one. The Kong thing that you have. Yeah, or whatever company makes it. I made one myself out of like a buckle that came off of a backpack. Right, and that allows me to take slack out easy and give slack back. So what I do is when I'm climbing, I give a lot of slack, and I'm literally using my rope to pull myself closer to the tree and using that as a leverage to go up. And then when I get to a spot where I need to stop, I just pull it tight real quick, lean into it, and then do what I have to do. When it's time for me to go up the steps again,
I do all the same stuff you're talking about. I just do it with the safety line instead of the lineman's rope.
Right. Anywho. Back to what started this whole conversation is what I want to do is right now I have all of my pouches, my pockets, everything attached to my harness or attached to the belt that holds my pants up. Now the problem with that is, like I said, the left side I have all of my climbing stuff, my lineman belt, the straps for my tree stand, anything I need to climb with is on my left side, including my tethered hiss strap, like my gear strap, and a couple I carry a bunch, like one or two small little hooks just in case I need to hold any gear, but I really use it to pilot hole anything bigger that I have to screw into the tree. On the right side, I have my immediate camera gear. I have my battery pack.
But this is
the
on
wire.
You when you're climbing. This is not in your backpack.
Oh yeah, it's on me because again, it takes weight off my back when I'm walking through the woods. B, everything I need, like the minor stuff that I need to set up quickly when I get in the tree is there. So now I climb up my tree. I have I have the hiss strap, but throw the hiss strap up real quick. As soon as I have that, I can pull my bow up and hang it. Now my bow is hanging the whole time that I'm setting everything else up.
I climb with my backpack on, so as soon as I get to the top, I have everything I need except my bow.
I can't do that.
That's the only thing. So that might be the difference. Is for me, that's why I don't mind climbing with the lineman with the safety line, because I have my two sticks are already on the tree. All I have on me is my backpack and my two other sticks. Everything else is with me.
Where's your platform? How do you where do you keep your platform?
My platform's on my backpack.
So what do you get to the top, hang your backpack, and then pull your platform off your backpack?
As soon as I get to the top, I take my backpack off. Actually, I don't even have to take it off. Right in one of the side pouches, I have the strap that goes around the tree where it has my bow hook, and it has another hook on it where I hook my backpack. As soon as I hook my backpack and the weight is off me, I pull my bow up, I put my bow on, I got my arrow nocked, I'm hunting. Now, slowly and methodically, little by little, I'll open pouches on my backpack and I'll take out the camera arm. I'll fix the platform, whatever you want to call it. I'll put. I'm sorry. I have to take my platform off my backpack first. So what I do is I take my backpack off. I have a couple bungee cords holding my platform on. I take my platform off the backpack. I put my backpack back on. Put my platform on the tree with my backpack on my back. Then I step up onto the platform. Once I'm on my platform, I then do what I just said. I take out the strap, I put the strap up, I take the bow up, I bring it on the hook, I have my backpack on the other hook. Then from there, I take the platform off for the camera arm. I put the camera platform on the tree. I take the arm out of my backpack. I fix the arm on, and then I have my camera on, and then now I'm filming. And now anything else I need to do, minor stuff like, I don't know, maybe put like a face mask on or my gloves on or fix my outfit, all that stuff I'm doing right now once that stuff's done. And then my camera platform has something similar to what yours has. It has a little screw on the bottom that was supposed to
Hmm.
be the one of the leveling things. I use that as another backpack holder. So
Okay.
you've moved yours, but basically underneath the spot where my arm plugs into in the platform that goes for the camera, underneath it there's like a little screw.
So does your base go on the tree first, and then you attach the whole camera arm to it, or is it all one piece?
No, yeah, so I have a base like the thing you've been modifying. It has a base, but my arm doesn't isn't always connected to it.
I got you. Yeah. Okay.
So then
That's
I
how my
take
old Muddy
yeah,
was.
then
Yep.
I take my arm and I attach it to it. And then it's broken up into pieces. So those are the things that I set up, and then once I set up, I get all my quality of life stuff going on. Maybe I trim a couple limbs if I need to. I take my rangefinder out. I make sure it's set in the right spot so that I could easily access it. I make sure my grunt calls are at in a spot that I can easily access them or whatever else I need. So
I
all that
got you.
stuff once I'm done with, like I said, everything's on my back as I climb. Climb up once, I pull the bow up and I'm hunting.
I got you. Now, the reason I can't do that is because my tree stand platform, the XOP platform I'm using, you can lock the seat in a way that it makes like a right angle. So this part is like the platform. It's on my back, and I have like a transportation system on it. So it has shoulder straps, a waist strap, and everything, and that stays on the platform all the time. And then I put my backpack on that shelf, and then my sticks are attached to my backpack. So that's how I'm walking into the woods. When I get to my stand, I take the whole thing off. I take the bag, I put the bag on the floor, I take the sticks off, and I set the first stick up. I take the rope and attach it to the top step of my first stick. And that's ready for me to pull up when I get to my first stick. Then I put each of the second and my third and fourth stick, one on each side on those belt clips, and that's how I climb. What I've done now is I climb with the platform on my back. When I get to the top, I hang the platform.
Yeah, then you pull up your backpack and then you
Right,
pull up
I
your
get on the plat exactly. So the first thing I pull up is my backpack, and in the backpack it has the pull rope for the bow. I bought like retractable pull ropes that I can like reel up.
hmm
Those have made a huge difference this year. Um, so I pull the backpack up first. I hang it on the his strap. What I probably should do is pull the backpack up and immediately pull my bow up,
Oh,
hang my
I
bow.
don't do anything
And
other
once
than
I
stand on the platform, and I have even though I have my backpack on my back, I still think what you're about to say is true. You should pull your backpack up, then immediately pull your bow up.
And I'm going to tell you, this shit happened to me this past weekend. If
So
I would have had my bow up,
talk about all the stuff that happened to you this weekend, your whole hunting experience, because we're getting kind of long on time.
yeah, we're 40. Honestly, I don't have a success story. This
Well, it doesn't
this
have to be a
year,
success story.
I've
Tell your
I
story.
have been I have been so humbled this year, man. I have been doing nothing but talking about how I see deer most times I go out. It's been 2 years since I've been out, haven't seen a deer.
In your
I've been
defense, you're
out.
only hunting one deer,
Well, in New York, I'm only hunting one deer,
and
but
in Pennsylvania, you can only hunt bucks
I
anyway.
can only hunt
So
one buck, which I haven't hunted PA yet. Tomorrow is actually so. Today is
the eight.
August, the October 8th. Tomorrow is the first day I'm getting out into PA. The season has been open since this past Saturday. It's Tuesday today. Tomorrow is the first day I'm going to get out. But Um, when I climbed on, so backtrack real quick. I'll give you a real quick backstory on our property. The property is for our family property for the most part is just hunted by myself, my dad, and my brother. This year, my brother isn't doing too much hunting. His daughter's in cheerleading, and they got a lot of stuff going on. So he's going to hunt when he can. But early season for sure, he's not doing much hunting. And my dad, he's in his mid-60s. He has a hard time kind of moving around these days. And we have a shed on our biggest food plot that he uses as a blind. It's easy for him. He could ride relatively close to it, within 50 yards of it, park our UTV, walk into it. Once he's in there, he's got 3 windows to shoot out of. The windows have burlap on them. He's got, like a buddy heater in there. So he is everything he needs to be able to hunt throughout the day, he has there.
Snack
But
bar.
it's also, what's that?
Snack bar.
That honestly brings it with him. Pack in, pack out. What he does have in there is a bench.
All he
There's
needs
like
is a
a
bartender.
That's right, a snack bartender. But there's like there's a bench that we have in there that is like maybe 2 feet deep, and he even takes naps on that. So like, I mean, do you, man? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But anyway,
he enjoys being out there. Enjoy the
yeah,
wild, experience the wild, however you want to enjoy it.
that
There's no
that's what I'm
rules.
saying. That's what I'm saying. And man, the truth is, like, the older I get and the older my parents get, like, the more I just want to spend time with them whenever I can. I know that's ironic saying since I just moved out to PA, but the opportunities I can now, I try to make the most of them. I try to argue with people a little bit less, and move on with the great things. Anyway, my dad was planning on hunting that shed the day after I hunted. So it wasn't the perfect wind to hunt there, but our target buck, we call him posts, his inner points reminded me of field goal posts. That's where he got his name last year. But I sat on it. It wasn't the best wind, but it was the same wind that had been there for 3 days. It was a southeastern wind, or a south. No, I'm sorry. It was a southwest wind coming out of the southwest, and it was just off. Like, the wind was just good enough to sit it. It was like the least okay wind, I guess you could say. And as I climbed up the tree, set the platform up, got up, pulled up my backpack. And as I'm setting all my shit up, I turn around. I hear like I hear like, I turn around. A 6-pointer is bounding out of the field, or a 7, I think he is. Beautiful deer, not something I would shoot, so I wasn't too upset about it. He bounded maybe like 30 yards and then just walked. His tail never went up. He just kind of like turned around, trotted a little bit, and just kind of walked off into the distance. No problem. So I turned back around. I'm setting my stuff up. And as I turn around again, there's a freaking coyote sitting 30 yards,
I mean, let's
29.8
just
yards
hope the
away.
deer got spooked because of the coyote and not you.
I mean, maybe you could be very right, because at the same time, I feel like if he would have seen me, he would have been in freaking East Jabib. But
I mean, but at the same
whatever.
time, they haven't been hunted yet. It's the first sit that anyone's
You're
even sat on your property. So they saw you
yeah,
climbing. I mean, you could have been climbing for anything. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
they, you know,
Yeah, you're not wrong.
don't be too
But
hard on it.
the point I'm trying to get at is, if I had my bow up right away, when I saw that coyote, I could have grabbed my bow and taken a shot. He was 29 and a half yards. I can make that shot. And
Hope so.
he sat there, watched me move around a little bit, and then stopped paying attention to me. He started looking around. He was there for like a good 3 or 4 minutes. But the way I set up, my bag is on my seat. And last year, I dropped my whole bag out of the seat with my old camera in it. Luckily, that camera wasn't broken, but I'm not doing that with $1,000 piece of equipment. So those of you who are thinking of getting into self-filming, maybe you're self-filming, you're looking to upgrade your equipment. Honestly, I love it. It's a lot of fun. It keeps me busy in the woods. It gives me something to do and something to mess around with. But it also adds a little bit higher of a level of cautiousness, I guess would be the right way to put it. So what I started doing now, the sit after, is I attached the carabiner to my backpack through my like my bladder hole, like where my bladder hose goes through. And once I get up in the tree, I clip that to my gear strap. So if the backpack does fall off my seat, it's not going anywhere. So from now on, I'm safe with that. Um, Done a lot of talking here, so I'll get through the rest relatively quickly. I took a sit. The first sit I sat was right on the food plot. Our target buck didn't show up, but I feel like I saw like a good majority of the other deer that we've seen on camera. I mean, I saw a young doe. She came behind me. I was trying to locate her because I could hear her, and I saw her on the left. I heard her kind of like running through the woods a little bit. She came around back of me, and when I turned to see where she was, she immediately darted, snorted, ran a little bit further, snorted again, and took off. And old school thought would be if you get blown out by a deer, your hunt's over, right? Well, this hunt proved that wrong. That was, I guess, counting the 6-pointer or the 7-pointer I saw. That was the second deer I saw. After that, I saw a spike, a 4-pointer, a 6-pointer, a 7-pointer, and an 8-pointer. And they all came in from behind me. They all were downwind of me. Now, I don't know. They all crossed my footpath 100%. I watched them all cross my footpath. They didn't really care too much about it. One of two things happened. Either I had really good scent control, and there's no part of me that thinks that you could cover up your scent completely. It's never going to happen. You're not going to beat a deer's nose. But what you could do is make yourself smell like you're 300 yards away instead of 30 yards away. That's kind of how I view my scent control regimen. So luckily, no deer smelt me that I know of, and the only one that two blew at me. I'll get to that in a second. That doe definitely saw me move without a doubt because she never stopped. She ran. She blew, ran, stopped, blew, and then just took off. And she just kept going until I couldn't hear her footsteps anymore. She was gone. Later in the evening, I had a 4-pointer eating, and this is when I realized I had an apple tree behind me. Somehow, I didn't see this apple tree. It was literally 10 feet behind me. Had I known that was there, I probably honestly wouldn't have sat there. Maybe I would have rotated around the food plot just a little bit, picked a little bit of a better tree, whatever the case is. But I said I've been sick for a little while, and this, I want to say he was a 4-pointer. But he was eating on the apple tree, and I was turning around. I was trying to film him through the trees, and all of a sudden I choked on my own phlegm. And if you ever had that where you go to breathe and all of a sudden you're coughing, otherwise you're gonna die choking. That's what happened. And he ended up eating another 2 apples, and then all of a sudden just stopped, blew, and took off, and that was that. And that was the last deer I saw for that day. Now the next day comes in. My dad sits the shed. That's why I hunted that food plot that day. If I knew that my dad wasn't going to hunt that shed that day, I would have gone and sat a very low pressure stand and waited for a more northwestern wind. The northwest wind for that food plot is the best wind, both from where they're coming from and once they're in the food plot, they're never going to smell you. Well, the next day, northwest wind, my dad goes out, he sits the shed. He went out first thing in the morning. I think he got to the stand by 7-ish, 6:45, 7. So he got into the shed just after last light, but it doesn't matter.
First light.
This first light. Yeah, my bad. I've never in my life, in all my years of hunting, ever had a deer this patterned. I mean, this buck, I could tell you what winds he would be in this food plot. I would tell you what winds he wouldn't be. I could tell you both in direction and speed. This buck did not show up in a wind over 8 miles per hour. He would majority of the time show up in the afternoon. We had 2 different days where he showed up 11 o'clock or earlier. And he never showed up 5 days in a row. It was always 2 days and then a break, 3 days and a break, 4 days and a break. He never showed up 5 days in a row. The day I sat was 5th. So I took a chance sitting there, but I felt confident that where he was coming from, he wasn't going to be boogered up or anything like that. So I decided to take a chance. So my dad sits there, and at about 3:15, he says, I think I'm going to take a nap. I said, don't you dare. 4 o'clock on, be ready. He's coming. 4:03 or 5. I'm sorry, 3:53. I get a text from my dad. Just missed the Big Ten. But I didn't see it because the spot where I was hunting on the second day was down in a gully, down off the road, down by the water. It's a low spot, really bad cell signal. Text calls didn't go through very well. So then he called me. He said, I just missed him. And on one hand, I was real bummed out because, like you said, you and I talked on the phone. I put that deer on a silver platter for him. I said, go here this day, at this time, this wind, you're going to see him, period. But on the other hand, man, the way he was talking about him, he was like, I've been hunting since 1990. I've never seen anything like this. He said the way the antlers just came around and wrapped, and he was just so tall and just standing there. He goes, I didn't know what was more impressive, the antlers or the body. And the word he used was majestic. So short of the harvest, I mean, what more can you ask for? My dad got to go out, enjoy the day, saw quite a few different deer, enjoyed himself, got a shot at our target buck. And not once did he say, I should have done this different or I should have done that different. He just enjoyed himself. He made the most out of the experience. And I think there was a little bit of a learning experience for him. He didn't have a chance to range it. The problem is, he was in a food plot and it's all grasses. So what are you really supposed to pre-range there? Like when we saddle hunt or hunt out of a tree stand or still hunt, you can range specific trees and say, okay, that tree's 20, that tree's 30, so I have an idea. You know what I mean? He couldn't do that. So what we talked about now moving forward is,
I mean, if he was prepared in the season, you go in the food plot and you range the shed.
well, he did. Well, what he did was he ranged the perimeter of the food plot. So he knew like
No, you
this
know what
tree
I'm
on the
saying, though.
edge.
You
This
know what I mean? You're not going to shoot clear across the plot with a bow. You know what I mean? What I'm saying is you go to a couple different spots. Maybe you put like a little flag, like a green flag here, or like
Yeah.
a
Well,
red
that's
flag
yeah.
there. Just a small little like landscaping flag that nothing will ever even mind that it's even there.
Yeah.
And those are your different yardages. That's something that we might want to implement.
Well, what I'm probably going to end up doing is just simply putting out, like, say, 3 or 4 stakes and having a white stake, a red
Yeah,
stake, a
that's what I'm
white
saying.
stake, a blue stake, and then,
Something that can be out
brown,
there all
whatever.
year. No one
Yeah,
knows because the yardage is
exactly.
always there.
And the truth is, I've hunted that stand before. My dad has hunted it this is our 4th season here. Never once did we ever think about that being an issue because it never came up.
We've
And it's
never
just
really
a,
hunted food plots before, so this is a
right,
learning curve, and anyone who's thinking
exactly.
about hunting food plots, there you go. There's an idea for you before
Exactly.
it becomes a
So,
problem.
long story short, I mean, long story long. I guess I've been talking for quite some time now, but that's pretty much it. We had the target buck. We had him patterned. What more could you ask for on your first sit of the season, man? You see your target buck, you get a shot. I mean, again, just short of the harvest. I mean, all of these little successes came together to make that shot possible. So I haven't shot a deer on our property in, this is going to be, I think, the 3rd season that I'm hunting this 4th season I'm hunting the property. I shot a buck, a 6-pointer, my first season there. Haven't shot anything since. And sometimes I get a little down on myself. I feel the pressure. And even before the whole podcast and the YouTube and all that stuff, I always felt like, okay, I haven't shot a deer in 2 years. I need a deer this year. But then I sit back and I think, like, okay, this past week I passed up 4 different deer I could have shot at. Last year I passed up 5 different deer I could have shot at, mainly on our property. And I have to remind myself very often that I'm giving up the short-term successes now, so that way hopefully within the next few years we have a beautiful property set up where we have a lot more opportunities to go out and enjoy ourselves and find those big successes. So I'll give up the first few years, first 4 or 5 years, to make the future beautiful. And with that said, I pretty much said everything I need to. So tell us yourself, man. You've had some success this year. We've talked about the first deer you shot.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm hunting a property. There's nothing that really needs, there's nothing special about it. It's just they have a property that's overpopulated, right? They're inside city limits. They've got a really nice wooded area. It's a town that's got, houses spaced out, and there's a lot of woods in between all the homes, and then there's a patch of woods that's kind of linking it all together, and there's tons of deer in there. So, I haven't really had to go out on a limb and do anything special this year to try to locate specific deer. I'm not hunting. Well, now that I've located deer that I know that are deers I want to target, now I am hunting specific deer. But to start off the season, we didn't really know what we were getting into. We weren't allowed to go scouting until I forget what it was. I think it was Labor Day. It had to be after Labor Day. There was the holiday that was this most recent holiday, and then after that, we were allowed to go in because people recreate in this area. So, I went in, I was able to find a couple deer. I was, located a couple small doe groups. As you guys know, we've already talked about the Tri-State Trifecta update. I was able to harvest a doe that we donated to help Hunters Helping the Hungry. And then most recently, I was hunting over the creek that I told you I just recently set up a hang-on stand on. So I was first kind of getting in there. I was doing my first couple of observation sits in this spot, and I observed a buck that was a really nice buck. I'm calling him Road Rash because as I came through the parking lot that I access, there's a big lawn for a couple businesses that are out there, and a lot of times, throughout the night, the deer will go out onto the lawn and they'll eat and bed down and they'll hang out in the open. And I saw this really nice tall deer. He was out there, and as I was pulling in the morning, it was like 4 a.m. or something like that. He started sprinting back towards the wooded area, the wooded lot. And as he's coming down off of this property that, well, business was there, it has a steep bank. And he kind of lost his footing and he skidded into the parking lot onto the blacktop, and that's why I'm calling him Road Rash. So I observed where he kind of went into the woods. I'm assuming that when you're stressed out and you kind of sprint off into the woods, that's kind of like an area where they know that they can be safe. So I did a little bit of scouting there, saw a bunch of rubs and scrapes and stuff like that. So I did a couple observation sits. And the second or third sit, I think the first sit I had, it was a really, I mean, talk about observation sit. I didn't observe anything, but I was able to see, a little bit about the property. And then I
You were able to
switched.
see that you didn't want to
Yeah, I
sit there
saw the
again.
property exactly. And then I saw that that's not where they're going to be during daylight. So I kind of switched up my tactics, spun around, and I kind of came in from the creek, and I was able to harvest a piebald doe, which was really nice. It was really cool. The only thing is, I'm 0 for 2 on getting deers on camera. So at this point, it was like basically, literally, there might have been seconds left in legal shooting light, and I had already had most of my stuff packed away, and this deer came out of the bedding area, and I wasn't even going to shoot because I had a wedding to go to the very next day, and I had a lot of stuff that I needed to do to get ready. I had some yard work I still needed to finish, and then some stuff I needed to do to get ready for the wedding. It was me, my wife, and I were going away, so we're spending the night out of the home. So I needed to get some stuff together. And the only reason why I ended up shooting is because could tell just through my eyes were able to see more light than the camera was able to pick up. But I could see that the deer had a unique pattern to it, and that was the only reason why I even pulled the trigger. And I was able to harvest that doe. It's a really cool hide. It's not like completely white. It's not really checkered throughout the whole body. It's kind of just around the outskirts on its leg, it's stuff like that. But it was enough to where I'm actually going to be doing a YouTube series on me preserving the hide. So after that, the next day, even though I was pressed for time and I had the wedding, I butchered the deer, and I even actually fleshed the hide and then salted the hide. I have some footage of me fleshing it, and we're gonna put together a little video of me preserving it. Hopefully, we can. I ordered some while I was salting it. So when you do the process, just quickly, when you salt the hide, you have to leave it so that it drains water out of the hide from it. You use the salt to draw water out of the hide. You leave it for like 2 or 3 days. So that's what I did. And while I was gone for the weekend at the wedding, I did that. I had ordered some taxidermy chemicals, hoping they were going to be back in time, and they weren't. So I ended up freezing the hide. I'm hoping that that doesn't hurt my process anyway, but I think it'll be okay. And I got the chemicals now. I'm gonna thaw out the hide, and in the next coming days or weeks, I'm gonna thaw out the hide, and I'm gonna start that process, and we're gonna document it. And if not, I'll probably do the same process to another hide if something does go wrong with this one. But we're gonna do that. So it's really cool. I'm happy to be off to the start. I finally have meat of my own in the freezer. As I've said multiple times, I donated the first deer to Hunters Helping the Hungry. So, a little bit of pressure off, got some meat in the freezer. Now we're targeting Road Rash specifically. I sat 2 nights ago, not last night. No, I'm sorry, 3 nights ago. I sat on Saturday, and I hunted in that area. I hunted in a more I hunted in that hang on stand that I told you I hung, and I saw that there's actually three other bucks that are in that area. One of them is a short seven. As we get closer and closer to the end of this initial bow season in New Jersey, we have two bow seasons. We have a fall bow and then we have an extended bow season. It's two different licenses. You can shoot two different bucks in those seasons. Not in each season, but one in one season and one in another. You do have to buy a separate buck tag for the permit bow season if you intend to shoot bucks. If on the last couple days of the season I'm still seeing this seven, I'm probably gonna maybe take a shot at it just to have something to not let the tag go to waste. But we're targeting road rash, so we're hoping to get in there. We have seen him on that. We have seen him in the very first sit that we had in that hang on stand. We did see him very close to last light, no shot. This is the first time we've seen him on the hoof in daylight hours during hunting time and during the hunting season. Um, Nothing came of it, so we're hoping now. I've crossed the creek. I just recently told you, I think before this podcast started, I got waders on. I crossed the creek. I'm going to be hunting just past that and right outside the bedding area where I've seen him, road rash, and where I've seen the three other less mature bucks. So I'm hoping that we can get in there the rest of this week. We got our podcast out of the way, so tomorrow night and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday we should be in there. So hopefully one of those days we can get road rash down.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm pumped. Right outside of my school. I've talked about it. I think maybe 4 podcasts ago, 5 podcasts ago. I'm not sure. But literally right outside the school I teach in, there's like thousands of state land or state forest that is huntable. So what I'm gonna basically be doing is there's a pull off about a tenth of a mile down the street from my school. So I'm gonna be parking my truck at that pull off, walking to the school, and as soon as I'm able to get out, walk right back to my truck, drive to my spot, get dressed, and go. So I'm really excited about that. This is my first year hunting deer in PA. I did plenty of upland like pheasant hunting with Hunter with my dog when I was in college. But well, I found out the hard way that you really got to get on the doe tags early. I didn't realize that you get no doe tags in PA. I thought you got like one buck and one doe for the year, and then if you wanted extra doe tags, you can get them. That's on me. I did not do my due diligence in reading the book ahead of time. Also, my wife and I, but when we moved into this house, we got the house in April. We couldn't move in until June. I spent the summer trying to find a job. So to be honest with you, outside of recording the podcast and kind of getting this stuff off the ground, the hunting was kind of on the back burner as a whole. I mean, I still did my 3D shoots. I still shot my bow. I'll always find time to shoot, but finding that time to really do the scouting I really wanted to do and get brushed up on the regulations as I should. I didn't have the time to dot my T's and cross my I's, I guess you could say. So we'll come into next season prepared for that. Real quick, you said you were concerned about freezing the hide, or you hope that
Well,
there
because it
wasn't any
was
issue.
salted.
I don't know. I mean,
You know what I'm saying? The fact
yeah,
that it was
maybe.
salted, I didn't know if there was going to be something that was a problem with it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, maybe
I'm
the
sure it
reason
was.
I'm going to say you're going to be fine though is because when I shot this buck up here, whatever, I don't know, 8 years ago, 9 years ago now, I had the entire when so I dropped the buck off to the butcher and I said I want to have it mounted, do whatever you have to do to preserve the hide. And when I went to pick it up, basically all of the hide from the very front of the legs all the way around its torso and then up into his head, where basically he took it and dropped it in a box and just left the antlers hanging out with the skull and the antlers,
Yeah.
and the whole hide frozen solid, and he
Oh
just
yeah,
gave me
that's
a
how
whole
they do
box
it. Yeah,
frozen.
exactly. I've seen
So
how they do it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think you have anything to worry about. Even butter, man. I
Well,
mean,
again, my thing
butter
was
just
to just, I
salted.
didn't know if
Yeah,
because if it was salted. And again,
yeah,
I know you're talking about salted butter, but I mean,
yeah. I
this
mean,
is really salted. I mean,
yeah.
I poured, so funny story. I actually went to go, so I was driving home. Uh, we're gonna wrap up here after this, but so I told you I had the wedding to go to after I shot the doe. That
Hmm.
morning, I had to drop my wife off at work because I had to pick her back up after work so we can go to the wedding. Because it wasn't the destination wedding, but we were staying overnight. We would want to take one car.
Sure.
I had to take my dog over to my wife's mother's house to drop the dog off, so it wasn't home by himself. On my way back, I had to stop to get the salts because I knew I was going to preserve the hide. When I got out, I realized my wallet wasn't on me. I didn't have my wallet on me. I had drove 25 minutes past my house to go to this store that had the salt. So I'm already 25 minutes into this more than it's not even like it was on my way home. And I get there and I realize I didn't have, by the way, I wish I knew the guy's name. I don't even remember the name of the business to plug it. If I ever tell a story again, hopefully I remember and I'll plug it. But he was like, you know what, just call me when you get home and you could pay for it. You look like a trustworthy guy. Don't worry about it. Take it and go. So I ended up being okay with the salt. I come home and as I'm trying to open the salt's in like a brown paper bag, kind of like a cement bag. Anything else has got like
Oh
the plastic
no.
line. I went to cut the bag and it cut down the side and I lost some of the salt. I mean, it was a disaster. It was a
I,
disaster. So,
as you're
I
telling
mean,
the
good thing
story,
it's only
I see,
$11. So,
I see it unraveling in my head as you're telling. It's
just
like,
the whole bag crumbled. It was just like,
well, I just picture you go to open, like, you go to open a bag of chips and some of them are really hard and you fucking open it and the
yeah,
whole
it
bag of
pops out.
chips
But it
is
wasn't
going
like that. Like I
flying.
had to cut it, right? So I cut it. The only thing is when I went to pick it up, the weight from the salt, because as I grabbed it, the weight of the salt shifted around where I grabbed it, and
Yeah.
it went off to the side. It
Oh
ripped
my
like the
God,
top 3 inches of it, and I
oh,
spilt salt all over my yard. So it was a whole thing. But
that's hilarious. So yeah, I mean, to wrap up here, I don't know what I'm doing this weekend, man. I mean, I can still hunt. When does fall bow or
I
regular
don't know.
bow
I can look
end
it
in
up.
Jersey?
Don't mind my clicking here, but finish what you're saying, and
Um,
I'll see if I can tell
yeah.
you.
So I'm only hunting one deer in New York. I'll be honest with you. Towards the end of my third sit this weekend, I was like, you know what? If a doe comes out, she might be getting it. Because I started going through it in my head, man. I haven't shot a deer now in 3 years. I had the deer I shot at last year that I hit and couldn't find. And part of me just wants to get that monkey off my back. So, from a management standpoint, I don't want to shoot doe on our property. But I also recognize that we have probably 15 doe, like a herd of 15 doe on our property, and then whatever, non resident doe that come in and hang out from other areas. So if I start getting later into the season and I don't have anything under my belt and a doe comes out, there's a good chance she might get it. Now I will say this: if my dad shoots a doe or my brother shoots a doe, I even if I haven't shot a deer, I probably won't shoot one. Only because, like, if you take a doe off the property, like, whatever, what's one doe gonna do? You know what I mean? But if they get one, then I get one, then they get another one later in the season. We have property, so my dad gets an extra doe tag. Now all of a sudden you're at four doe. Like that's a quarter of the doe we have almost. You know what I mean? So like I don't know. I really don't know. But
October 25th, 3 Saturdays left if you're hunting New
okay,
Jersey and only hunting weekends in the fall bow season. And then the permit bow season starts on the following day. Actually, no, I'm sorry, the 25th is a Friday. So you only have 2 Saturdays left in New Jersey
right,
for fall bow. And then the 26th is a Saturday. That starts permit bow. And
right.
that goes all the way to December 24th. Obviously, that's Christmas Eve. No hunting on Christmas Day. And then you can hunt again December 26th until December 31st. So you can hunt all the way to the rest of the year with the permit bow. But,
Yeah, and then once
as
January
far as
1st
fall
comes
bow
around, you could
goes,
buy your
you're
license for
limited.
next
It's,
year.
it's, you know,
Yeah. So basically, what I'm getting
And
at
the only
is
thing, and to be honest with you, the only real benefit to the permit bow is if you just bear with me for another second while I bring up the firearm regulations. Permit muzzleloader starts November 25th, so you really only get another month to hunt.
right. Well,
So
but
it's
in
it's
Jersey,
not
you can
like
hunt into February though.
no, you can hunt into February, but then it's a winter bow, and you have to starting January 1st, you have to get a new bow permit,
Right.
and your bow permit for winter bow is
Is
good
also
until
good
the
for fall.
I think if you buy the
Yeah, it
winter
is.
bow, it's also good for the fall. Even though
Yeah,
they say in the regulations, it doesn't show that they're together. When you buy the license for the winter bow, it does include your fall bow season,
right.
with the same tag.
Is there also, we don't need to like go into detail, but I think there's also a gun and like a winter gun also, right? Isn't there something in January or February where they reopen gun for deer?
No, they stop it. It's the same tag. They stop the season for the same time. So it goes November 25th and 27th, and then you can't hunt on Sunday, and then you can hunt. I'm sorry. Let me be sure here. So if you do get the permit, you get an extra one, two, three, four. You get an extra 4 Saturdays. So if you're a weekend hunter, you get the extended bow permit. You get the permit bow. You get an extra four weekends to hunt.
Okay.
You get an extra four weeks if you're hunting during the day.
Okay.
Then for the gun, you get November 25th, which is a Monday, and up until the 27th, so it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You're not allowed to hunt Thursday because I believe that's Thanksgiving. November 28th is Thanksgiving this year. It's the last
Yeah.
Thursday in November, correct?
And then the weekend
So
before that
that's
opens rifle in
Thanksgiving.
New
You
York.
can upland bird hunt in New Jersey on Thanksgiving,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't gun hunt on Thanksgiving. Then it's open again on the 29th, but it's not open on that Saturday. So, which is weird. I don't know why it does that, but
Is
it
that
just
6 day? Is that
no
6 day shotgun?
no. 6 day shotgun starts on a Monday, so I'm guessing it's the second. It's December 2nd. Let me see.
Gotcha.
Permit shotgun. Either sex or 6 day shotgun is actually the second, so it's December 9th. So it's the second Monday in December is the shotgun season. So it's December 9th.
Okay.
But yeah, so then it stops on the so you get that week. You're not allowed to hunt the Thursday for Thanksgiving, like I said. You cannot hunt the 30th, was a Saturday, and then you're not allowed to hunt all the way up until the 9th. So 6 day shotgun, you can hunt either. You can hunt with your muzzleloader or your shotgun, and um, then from then on, it's kind of spotty. It's got some random dates. It's like
Yeah.
the 9th through the 14th. It's just antlerless.
I mean, those
Um,
late season hunts are tough too, man. Because like I would hate to shoot a deer I think is a doe. And next thing I know, I go over and they just got these massive pedicles on the top of their head, and like you find that you shot a deer that dropped early, like a buck that
I mean,
dropped early.
you're
It's
talking about like winter bow, maybe not.
yeah,
Not.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
So
who's hunting winter bow really? I mean, we heard a couple states they had some incentives to hunt winter bow to
yeah,
try
I
to
mean, if
to try to lower the population.
if
Uh,
you're out there for meat though, like if
yeah,
you're
I mean, if
someone
you're
who
hunting for meat in winter bow, you're only eating deer. You know what I mean?
right,
Like that's because
yeah,
that's your lifestyle, and you're trying to get
yeah.
as much meat in the freezer as possible.
You kidding me? I got my wife up my butt now. She's like, we need meat. I
I'm
want a
telling you,
steak. Go shoot a
for
deer.
two, right? You're going to be eating for two. Me and my wife having venison 2 days a week. We we consumed about 3.5 deer last year. I shot 4 deer last year, and I gave half of one away.
Right.
Um, so yeah, there you go. You
I
need
mean,
4 deer. Get on it.
yeah. I mean, we'll
And then
see.
you
I mean,
don't have to buy red meat. I mean, we
I'm
did buy some red meat as a treat here and there.
additive, a treat, or whatever. And
Filet
you know what
mignon.
though?
I
The
mean,
thing is, like, we're spoiled, man. When I say spoiled, I mean literally 5 minutes down the road, we have a farm. They have beef. They have bison. They have a bunch of different red meat. It's all locally grown. So luckily the meat we get is legit. We pay a little extra for it, but it's worth it. But my thing is, I'm at a little bit of a crossroads here. PA, I can only shoot a buck. It is what it is. I didn't get my doe tags in time. New York, on our property, the only deer I'm hunting is posts. He's the only deer I'm there for. So if he doesn't show up this week on camera, I don't know that I'm forcing it early season. If it was the rut or, pre-rut deer starting to run around,
I'll
chase,
tell you what. If you're gonna take a doe on your property, take it during the bow season.
yeah.
You
Well, the
don't
other
want to
thing
shoot
too,
guns off, you know what I mean, if you don't have to, because then you're
well,
really educating them. I mean, if you're
yes,
shooting at a doe and you miss, or if you like your
yeah,
dad shot at post and he missed,
yeah.
that's probably not a season ender. You know what I mean? I don't know what your dad did after
I'm
to
hoping.
educate the
I'm hoping
deer.
not.
What he did
Yeah,
this, that, the
yeah.
other thing. Did he move? Did he make noise? Did the deer know it came from the
He did
shed?
come back. We saw him come back. He doesn't look injured. It was definitely a clean miss. But he went from being on camera 6 out of 5 days in a row, almost within the same hour, on the exact same food plot, coming from the exact same direction, to in the last 3 days we've gotten one picture of him, and it was only at 1:30 in the morning. So I don't know if he sent him nocturnal now. I don't know if he's
I
afraid
think
of
he'll
that
settle
food
down. I
plot.
mean, the
I
rut's
hope
coming and
so.
everything else. And if you're gonna shoot the buck, like I said, you can shoot them all year if that's the only deer you're
Yeah.
hunting. But if you're gonna shoot a doe, maybe go into a part of the property where you don't see him and see if you can get a doe in one of those areas.
Oh, bro, I go on that property on any wind that has a southern component to it, and I sit where we set up that camera down low, right on the power line. I'll shoot a doe. They're on the camera literally every day,
Yeah. I mean,
literally
that
every
would
day.
be something I'd do. Maybe even hunt them morning, since you're really not wanting to hunt them in the morning. Maybe hunt them morning
Yeah,
somewhere where you think you could get a doe, get the doe, get in, get out, and then,
yeah.
let the area settle down. Because you
You
guys aren't
know,
there all week, so.
no. Well, that's the thing. I mean, they say that the best days of the week to hunt are Wednesday through Friday. Saturday they feel the pressure. Sunday they're reacting on the pressure. Monday and Tuesday they're recovering from the pressure. Wednesday through Friday they finally
Well,
start to
I
feel
hope
like,
that's
okay,
possible because,
I can move
I didn't
around
really
again.
spook anything
So
on Saturday when I saw those deer, but
yeah,
hopefully Wednesday
you know.
is settled down. So,
So we got our cousin Joey's wedding coming up on the 18th. That's a Friday. That's the same weekend last year that I saw the big buck in New Jersey. So
oh
I plan
yeah, I
on going
forgot
to
about
his.
that. So we don't even have, I mean,
Yeah.
fortunately right now I'm able to hunt during the week, so I'm okay. But we have this weekend, and then we have next weekend we can't hunt. So for us specifically, and to anyone here who's listened this long, God bless your heart,
Hopefully everyone's listening this long.
one Saturday left for New
Oh
Jersey.
no, bro! I'm hunting the day after his wedding.
No, no, no,
If you
you're
want
hunting
to,
the day after his wedding, but where? Oh, okay. But
shit! I got to mute that out.
it doesn't matter.
No, oh, it
You
matters.
can
I'll mute that out.
you can mute
Absolutely,
it.
100,
All right, mute
100%
it
is
out.
getting
Mute
muted.
it out.
Yeah.
Anyway, uh, cut all this out. And
Yeah.
but for people who are hunting, I'm sorry, not for people who are hunting. For us, as it pertains to us, with that wedding coming up, can you hunt that property on a Sunday?
No.
So you can't even hunt the day after his wedding. Oh no, I'm sorry, the
It's a
day after his wedding,
Friday.
the
His
Saturday.
wedding's
His
a
wedding's a
Friday.
Friday.
So
Okay, so
I'll
yeah.
hunt. Yeah.
So then if you're gonna hunt, then good for you, but I'm probably not hunting the day after. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
take that off
So
and then
I'm gonna take an L for the team. I'm gonna not drink at the wedding. I'm gonna wake up at a relatively decent time. Probably head up to my parents' house, take a quick shower because it's on the way, and then just head out to the woods. I'm gonna plan on getting to the woods somewhere between 10 and noon. Set up like an early afternoon sit. I'm not far from the road. I'm literally a 5 second walk literally from where I park. And I'm just gonna go throw a sit at it and see what happens. If I don't get anything down on Saturday, I'll go to the woods that we grew up hunting on Sunday. And then head home after that, so
and
we'll
then that's
see.
it for New Jersey
Yeah.
probably for you.
Um,
You gonna
yes
get
and
the bow
no.
permit, the extended bow permit?
Well, here's my thing. If I'm only allowed one deer and it's a
What
buck
I'm
in
saying
PA,
is in
and I only have
Pennsylvania,
one.
you have to locate one first.
Well,
That might take some
I think
time.
I did some scouting early, like in September. I did some decent scouting
Yeah, but you only
after
saw a
work.
sign. You didn't see a actual buck.
Right, no, but that's the thing too. Like the beautiful thing about hunting state land is I drop
Standard of
my
buck.
standard a bit, yeah. Because on my property, I'm putting in the time, I'm putting in the money. I'm giving up deer I would shoot on public land to grow the deer on my private land. But on public, there's no cameras. I haven't really had a lot of time to scout. It's all woodsmanship, so the prize for me on public land is finding deer that I didn't know were there. The prize for me on private land is putting the time and the energy in and seeing what I could get out of it. So it's really cool. Different places, different scenarios, different expectations. But man, I'll be honest, I'm feeling the pressure a little bit. I
Don't let
am.
it
I
get to you
thought
too much, because then
I
it'll mess with your choices in the woods, and
hundred
it's the
percent,
worst
hundred
thing.
percent. And it's like the devil on one side and the angel on the other, and it's like on one hand, I'm like, man, I haven't shot a deer yet. I haven't had a chance to shoot at a deer yet. What's going on? And then the next second, I'm like, man, you've only sat 3 times. You saw a deer 2 out of the 3 times you sat. Like, what more could you possibly want?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
You
really
know?
hoping to
So
get one of those bucks down this week, and then that'll kind of help my my sit to deer ratio.
deer ratio, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
this guy pr promoted this property to me. He was like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna see deer every time you go out," and he's true. If I wanted to just shoot does and young deer and whatever else to get deer off the property, I could.
yeah,
But I mean, I want deer for the future. The program's not ending anytime soon, and I'm not gonna say like, "Hey, I'm just gonna leave the deer there." They've been doing this project for 15 years, so it's
for
something
sure.
that I just learned about, so I'm getting involved in, and I've had a couple people already, talk to the powers that be there, specifically the guy who helped me track the deer. He's also a member that I didn't know, and he had raving comments about me to the guys there, letting them know that he thought the ethical hunter that I was and this and that. So that's good. So we're hoping to be part of the project for a couple of years going forward, if not indefinitely. And we want to keep good quality deer there, especially the bigger bucks. So,
Yeah.
I've already shot 2 deer. I'm supposed to shoot for every buck I shoot, I have to shoot a doe. I already have shot 2 does, so I can shoot 2 bucks without
two
having to shoot.
bucks.
Yeah, I can
There
shoot
you
two
go.
bucks without having to shoot any more does. So
Yeah.
I can sacrifice, having to get the convenient. And the guy that's hunting with me, I mentioned him I think before, the guy Brian. We did a scouting trip. He's shot 3 does already. So
Good for
together,
him.
him and I, we've taken 5 deer off that property already in the first
Good.
two and a half years,
Nice.
like you said. So we're
Nice.
doing our part. You know what I mean?
I think,
But
yeah. And I think it would be pretty cool, like, if I have a weekend where the wind's not right for me to sit, or, my New Jersey tag runs out and I can't really, the wind's not right for me to hunt New York or whatever. I would be so open to coming out and doing like a joint sit one day. Like, I know that I don't have the permit to hunt in the same woods you're hunting, but to just bring the camera and to be able to set up together and kind of do a sit together, we've talked about how you hunt before, but I've never seen how you hunt before,
yeah, I mean, we're gonna probably do
So,
something like that anyway, probably in the late gun season in New York, because if
yeah, that's right. That's
God
right.
willing, you'll have your target deer down, and then you're not going to be hunting New York on your property anymore, probably.
Right.
Maybe you'll hunt a
Well,
doe, but
yeah,
um, you're
and
probably
we'll,
not going to want to put too much pressure. You're going to want your property to be a safe haven for the deer to kind of
right.
get away from the other hunters that are hunting
Yes.
in the properties around your property, and save, hopefully one of the other nice mature up and coming deer for next year for yourself.
Yeah. And probably the biggest victory for me this year, and it unless you have anything else to add in for today, I think we could wrap it up with this. My biggest victory so far this year, we touched on this in an older podcast, in an older episode we did. But throughout my life, I kind of lost touch with religion and the Creator, and I've made it a point to spend at least 10 minutes every time I'm in the woods to just have a conversation with Him. And so far, so good. I've been true to that, and it's enlightening. I guess would be a really great way to put it. So that's just my own personal
No, I
thing.
mean,
I'm not trying
I'll
to
add
push that
on.
on anybody,
No, no,
but
I'll add on that real quick. I mean, you know how I feel. I'm a born again Christian, so I have my relationship with him as well. You've mentioned it more than once for yourself, and I've never really said anything about it. But that is a time for me to where I really get the time to kind of slow things down. We all live in a world where we're going a mile a minute, and things can kind of get away from you, and sometimes that's the only time that we have to ourselves to be able to confront our darkest thoughts and stuff like that. And you know, one of the things, sorry, this my mic's doing this thing again. Is it, can you, that stopped. So yeah, so I mean, that's one of the best things, for me, sometimes if I'm in the woods early in the morning and it's still dark and I can't do anything, sometimes I'll pop a sermon on for the next 20, 30, 40 minutes and just listen to that, or I'll listen to some worship music. And, sometimes I'll have scripture with me, and I'll do some reading. I told you this year I'm hoping to write a little bit,
hmm
not necessarily about scripture, but yeah, to anyone out there who's looking to maybe rekindle their own relationship, or even just look for something to enlighten themselves or enrich their mind, using the outdoors and using hunting, using fishing, using, hiking, whatever it may be that you like doing, even camping, just spend time with yourself. get your mind right. You know what I mean? Especially as men in this country. There's an attack on men in this country. I'm not going to go into my thoughts on that specifically, but I
Yeah.
think we all, as men, can agree that there is. We need manly men in this country. And, as someone who's been to a lot of men's gatherings that have spirituality in mind, a lot of men feel like, they don't have anywhere, a safe place that they can talk. So, find one. If not, we're always able to be reached. We've given our tags here before, our handles, our social medias. Reach out to each or one of
Okay.
us. But
We'll add it at the end again.
that
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean that you're soft, right? I want people to know, like, when we talk about God, we talk about Jesus. A lot of them, so many times in the world, he's portrayed as the lamb, as this soft, gentle character who's loving and embracing and wants to love everybody. But he's also portrayed as the lion, right? He's the warrior. He's the savior. He's the, you know, just it doesn't necessarily always have to be this soft image that people come out and think. We can be warriors. We can be warriors for God. We can be warriors for our families. We can be warriors for ourselves. We can be warriors in the woods. That doesn't have to be a derogatory term. It just means strength. It just means confidence. It just means honor. And I hope that for you, I'm trying to embody that myself. And I hope that for all of our listeners, and if anyone needs help trying to find themselves on that journey, getting to that point, you can always reach out to us in any way that you want to.
For sure, and to just top it off, for me, it was always I was angry with him for a really long time, um, just for what I didn't get that I asked for, and we'll just leave it at that for now. But I've spent a lot of time as of late thanking him for the stuff that he has given me, and I'm just trying to change my perspective instead of being selfish and wanting more, just being thankful for what I have and what's to come. So with that being said, guys, we want to thank you so much for listening this far in. Hopefully you got some value out of it. We're really trying our best to bring you real life content. You turn on the outdoor channel, you see guys pushing products and using this, using that, and sometimes it's really hard to know if is what they're doing, are they doing it because it works? Or are they doing it because they're getting paid by someone to do it or to say it? And that's not to speak ill on anyone at all. And we all know, what works in the West doesn't work in the East, and
And I'm sure that when
vice
we
versa.
find products that we trust and we like, we're going to let you guys know. I mean, we're not going to let
Absolutely.
anyone dictate our how we speak about things. I mean, if we
Right.
find products that we like that we think you guys will benefit for, we're going to speak about them, but we're not going to let any of these companies dictate to us how we talk on this channel and what we talk about.
Exactly. And but what I was getting at with there was, we share a lot of our successes, but we also share a lot of our failures. And hopefully, us sharing what works for us and what doesn't work for us, maybe some of those like minute details that maybe you didn't think of. Hopefully, that helps you reduce that learning curve and maybe helps you avoid making some of the mistakes that we've already made. And hopefully, we make them for you. So we really enjoy getting together weekly. I've said in the past, like this is really the one day of the week where you and I really get to spend time together and kind of hang out and talk. We chill a little bit before we record, sometimes after, But I really look forward to it, and I'm really looking forward to building and growing this team. Whether it's between the Wing and Tail boys or just the gathering of the listeners and everybody. And I'm really looking forward to some success stories and hearing people tell us what worked for them, what didn't work for them, and really building this as we go. With that being said, if you like what you heard today, I know this has been a little bit of a longer one. I think we were trying to keep it around an hour, and we went a bit over here, but it is what it is. But if you like what you saw, if you found or heard some value out of what you heard today, please feel free leave a written 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. If you're listening on Spotify, just a good old 5-star review will do. If you have anything that you want to hear, feel free to leave it down below. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like. Help us help you and bring you the content that you're looking for. And you got anything to add?
That's all. We'll see you
All
guys
right.
on the next one.
Yep. Remember, guys, success is just a commitment away.